Hello?
We're off mute. Chris, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, so we have Chris.
Yeah, I'm having trouble logging in.
You got rid you got rid of Judy.
Oh, yeah, that's just so I can get it out of the screen for now.
Okay.
I can have it until. Oh, yeah, she's right here.
Well, before we call this meeting to order, I want to make sure that everybody, Judy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right, this is actually it's a public review meeting of the Planning Commission, and the procedure for this is a little different than our regular meetings. In a public review meeting, we will hear a presentation from staff on the proposed conversion district in this case, followed by a presentation by the applicant, and then we will open up the floor to testimony either for or against the project by members of the public. If there is any, if necessary, then the applicant can put on a rebuttal if it feels the need to do so, and then we'll close the meeting. We sometimes keep the record open for 10 or 15 days for additional input. We can do that. If we do that, that will be a motion at the end of the hearing. So if we're ready to go, for the record, we have Judy Wheeler, Chris Davis, Tammy Martinez, Ron Thomas, and myself, Jim Stone, present.
Okay, so this is a conversion district overlay at the old Surrey School. So a conversion district overlay, the purpose is to simulate the adaptive reuse of large non-residential structures. It also provides an alternate development concept for underutilized structures and protects general welfare and aesthetics. And it also requires an approved development concept plan, which is what makes it different from the local conversion districts. Again, the site is 535 Summit Avenue. It's the old Surrey School, which is a historic public school building that's now vacant. It has frontage on both Summit Avenue and Virginia Avenue and faces City Park on the Virginia Avenue side. It's 2.67 acres and the existing zoning is residential moderate density or RMOD. And here's the Google map imagery here as well. And then here's a photo of the existing building from the front. And the applicant is proposing a boutique hotel and associated accessory uses, including a restaurant. And if you see on that top photo there, you can see there's proposed additions on either side of the building, which will be different materials than the original facade, but will remain consistent with the overall image of the building. It also requires 80 parking spaces, and they are providing 80 parking spaces in their proposal. They're proposing a complete exterior and interior renovation. And site work will include utility upgrades, landscaping, parking, and stormwater management improvements. And this is the concept plan here. So again, the comp plan encourages the adaptive reuse of vacant historic buildings. The proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area. And we also have a code amendment currently pending to permit outdoor dining. And then water and wastewater service exists, and there's no identified traffic capacity issues. And again, 80 parking spaces, like I mentioned before. So for the next steps, first, I'd like to enter into the record Planning Commission file by reference CM 2022-01 and the legal advertisement. Like Jim said, we'll do 10 days for public input, 10 or 15. We usually do 10. And then the Planning Commission will make a recommendation to Mayor and City Council, and then the Mayor and Council will have their own public hearing. And then my information's up here if anyone wants to submit public input. And that's it.
Okay. Um, We'd like to hear a presentation from the applicant.
Good evening. My name is William C. Want. I'm an attorney practicing here in Hagerstown. My office address for the record is 123 West Washington Street. I'm here representing Surrey LLC, the applicant in this case. An older version of the first page of the application was submitted to the city prior to submission of the application, the formal application, which incorrectly used Surrey Inc. as the name of the applicant, as indicated on the deed submitted and the actual application submitted. I'd like to just note that the staff report carries over that previous name, the name of the applicant and the owner for all purposes is Surrey LLC. This is a rezoning from an RMOD or residential moderate density Euclidean zone to a C conversion district, which is a floating zone under the city's ordinance, under the classification generally of overlay zones. As a floating zone, the application does not require showing change or mistake, but is based on principles applicable to floating zone. And it's subject to the various criteria in the ordinance. I'd like to endorse and adopt entirely the staff report prepared by Steve Bachmiller. I believe it capsulizes a summary of the findings that we've submitted in terms of meeting the technical requirements of the Conservation District. I refer you to those writings and ask that they be included in the record of this case. As indicated by Megan, the property is located at 535 Summit Avenue. To give you some idea of the scale of the property, it's the largest property on that block between Summit and Virginia Avenue. The Summit Avenue frontage is 276 linear feet. Virginia Avenue frontage is 260 feet. The property has a depth varying between 411 feet and 431 feet. Here in the third step of a five-step process contemplated in the ordinance. The first step being preliminary consultation, which we've participated in. Second, the preparation of a concept plan. With me this evening is Jack Becker, our architect, who will give you a brief review of the key elements of the plan. Now we're in the third step, which is Planning Commission review. Following a recommendation of Mayor and Council, the matter will be referred to the legislative body of the city for a vote to establish the conservation district and to effect the map amendment. Finally, if that is all accomplished, we move on, coming back to this commission for site plan review. Property used to be a public school. Summit Avenue facade was considered the front side of the property. That's where the school buses and parents or other individuals would drop off and pick up children for the elementary school curriculum. Later, the property became a daycare center. And similarly, there was some traffic where people were brought to and picked up from the school. Essentially, the building has been utilized since it was underutilized since it was vacated by the daycare center. Built in 1907, it has an architectural style reminiscent of the period in which it was built. There are ample areas on both Virginia and Summit Avenue sides for open space to create a nice balanced development plan. Essentially, it's been a vacant building in search of a use. Surrey LLC purchased the property in July of last year, 2021, investing $795,000 in the project. My privilege to introduce Alexis Blakely McKinney of Bowie, Maryland, Valerie Sanderlin, CEO of Focus Works construction company, also of Bowie. They're here this evening. They've been welcomed by the city, supported by the staff, and guided by an outstanding group of engineering and architectural professionals. They include, to my right, Jack Becker of BLD.US out of Washington, D.C., Ms. Danny Alexander of Studio AKA, landscape and site design experts, Garrett Hotel Consultants of Charlotte, Vermont, and interior design by 3 North of Richmond, Virginia, and also assisted by Frederick Cyber Associates of Hagerstown. Presentation this evening will supplement the application and the concept plan and the architectural renderings prepared by Mr. Becker and submitted with our application. I'd like to ask that all of those documents be included in the Planning Commission's record. Following my brief summary, Jack Becker will review the concept plan prepared cooperatively by Mr. Becker, Ms. Alexander, and Mr. Frederick. That reflects all of their excellent work. The application and the concept plan form the core of the application contemplated in the ordinance. The architectural drawings, which are not legally a part of the concept plan, will provide details of our envisioning process, which is presently pretty far along. And but we're open and welcome public input and input from the commission and staff as the process continues. The overarching purpose of that significant planning trend known as adaptive reuse is to provide opportunities and incentives to encourage investment, thereby predictably avoiding urban blight. Although zoning cannot compel the use of property, it can be successfully used to create permissive investment opportunities, lending improvement of both local neighborhoods and the quality of life generally, based on the services and enterprises offered. And envisioning a hospitality use across from City Park, synergistic interaction may be kindled as park visitors take the advantage of the restaurant within walking distance of the Iron Gate on the park, and perhaps choose to dine out during seasonal park activities. It's also expected that park visitors may park along Museum Drive or along City Park Drive and walk to Surrey Hills indoor and outdoor dining opportunities, completing a visit to the park or the museum. Synergistic interaction may also develop in coordination with special events at the park or the museum. The project abounds with such opportunities. I was involved over a period of several years representing the town of Boonesboro and watched the in Boonesboro project proceed. And we think this location, this project has similar potential. Check the website of that project, well established, and you need to get reservations weeks or months in advance. And I think the hourly rate was around $295 per room. So there is potential to be envisioned here as exemplified right here in our county. The applicant intends to make this facility a destination experience. As contemplated in the ordinance, they plan to begin construction within 2 years of approval of the rezoning. The application is largely self-explanatory, together with the staff report and the architectural drawings and the concept plan. We believe they meet all of the requirements of the ordinance. I'm happy to inform you that last night the mayor and council introduced an ordinance which includes clarifying amendments to the conversion district regulations and facilitates the inclusion of seasonal outdoor dining includable as part of a conversion district approval. We seek your recommendation to the mayor and council that the property be given a conversion district classification. And with the understanding that the sequencing of this application should be coordinated with the text amendments introduced last evening, in order that the opportunities for outdoor dining in conversion districts may apply as part of our plan. And we've included it on the assumption that it will be approved, and to correct some unfortunate language unintended in the ordinance. And this was in the general requirements, subsection 2 of the conversion district regulations, which currently reads: the development shall be for an existing non-residential structure containing at least 2 floors, within which all proposed uses except parking will be contained. Well, this would preclude the 2 additions that Jack will be describing to you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Becker and give him the microphone.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jack Becker. I'm an architect for the project, and I'm representing Surrey LLC, Alexis and Valerie behind me, but also a larger design team that Bill alluded to, including Danny Alexander of Studio AKA, landscape architect, and Fred Frederick, local civil engineer, who were very helpful in putting together these conceptual plans and our architectural concept as well. So on the screen right now, which is also reproduced in the package available to everybody in hard copy, is an existing condition survey of the site of those 2 2/2 acres that exist currently. Fronting the city park on the west side is the totality of parking that serves the existing historic school. It's entirely surface parking along that west frontage, and from a site design standpoint, our big move is to relocate the substantial majority of that parking to the east side and connect it to a more intentional arrival sequence to the historic front facade that faces Summit on the east. In doing that, we're both celebrating the historic front door of the building on the east, in addition to opening up a better connection with the city park that is obviously one of the, the public space, the key public space elements of Hagerstown. So we can go to the next slide, I think. So in a nutshell, that surface parking is primarily loaded onto the east side and organized around a front entry drive that will be landscaped throughout, but create a front door along the Summit Avenue frontage, and then having secondary parking for staff along the Virginia Ave side at the west along the park, and then thereby opening up a significant portion of the site directly across from the park for outdoor recreation, and hopefully outdoor dining that would complement the restaurant use on the building's backside. You can go to the next slide. And then this is just an illustrative landscape plan that perhaps better articulates this vision of opening up the west side that faces the park and organizing a formal entry drive for drop off at the hotel on the east side. So those are the big picture moves from a site planning standpoint. The architectural ideas involve celebrating this existing 2-story historic structure, but adding onto it with secondary side additions that are smaller in footprint, lower in height, and deferential in character, and not kind of as lightly as possible engage this historic building. So not adding a big clunky addition that obscures the historic fabric of this building, but instead engaging the existing building with as small of a connection as possible. This building is, as everyone knows, highly visible from all sides, given its frontage of two roadways. So there's really no backside in a technical sense to this structure. So we were very mindful to locate additional square footage on the secondary wings of the building that face north and south. Insofar as there's additional square footage added to the west, it's limited to a single story on the west side, and sympathetically relates to the topography that is steeply falling away from the building as you go in the direction of the city park. So that single story addition on the west side is partially buried into the ground because it corresponds to the basement level of this building, which is a partial basement, meaning it's about 50% below grade. And so when you're looking at this building from the park and from the west side, that rear addition won't obscure any of the existing historic facade on the first and second floor of the building. And I think that's about it in terms of what I think is useful information to supplement the staff report, which condensed the project concept quite well and elegantly. So with that, we're available to clarify any questions that public or staff might have. So happy to do that. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Chris, Judy, do you have any questions?
This is Chris. No, this is very straightforward and very pleased to see what's been presented.
I agree.
I have a question which is probably not relevant to the approval, but I couldn't tell when I looked at these drawings. Are the stairways, the existing stairways and to the rear of the building on both sides, are they going to remain or are they going to be replaced by some other kind?
You're referring to the exterior stairways?
Yes.
Those will be removed. They're not historic pieces of the building. They were added at a later date, but those are in the way of the rear addition that creates space for the restaurant and the spa, which is very difficult to retrofit in a historic building because of all the mechanical and exhaust requirements for a commercial program element like that. So those existing exterior kind of covered stoops on the back will have to be removed to make way for that rear addition. That being said, the historic stair cores that are in the school building itself, those stair cores will be preserved and provide the egress for the proposed hotel use.
Any other questions this time? Okay, well then, at this time we will open up the meeting for public comment. Does anybody wish to testify in favor of this application? Hearing none, does anybody want to testify against it? Does the staff have any further comments? Then I will ask if anybody wants to make a motion to keep the record open.
I'll make a motion to keep the record open for 10 days.
Is there a second to that motion?
This is Chris. I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? No opposition, so the unanimously passes. I guess this concludes the public meeting. And I'll just say that I think it was a great presentation and we certainly look forward to seeing this come along.
Us too.
I'm sorry?
Just wanted to acknowledge Devontae Jenkins, part of our team. He's a local Hagerstown resident, and he was the one that brought this project to our attention. So he's still very much involved, but he's the reason why we're here, so we're grateful.
Great, thank you. All right, thank you, folks. We will be considering it this probably at our next regular meeting. We'll make a motion to either recommend or not recommend this to the mayor and council.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we turn to the regular meeting. I think I already did a roll call, but I'll repeat it. We have by Zoom, we have Judy Wheeler and Chris Davis. To my left is Tammy
Martinez,
Martinez.
it's okay.
To my right is Ron Thomas, and I'm Jim Stone. So we have five members here. So the first item is the approval of January 26th meeting minutes.
I make a movement that we, motion that we accept the minutes as submitted.
Second?
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yep.
All in favor of the approval of the January 26th minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Then we have.
Abstain, this is Chris.
Oh, okay. Chris, you're abstaining.
Judy abstains also.
Okay, so that's three, yeah, that's enough. 3 votes. Okay. The February, let's see,
That's gonna be.
February 4th meeting.
Fourth. Special meeting.
Yeah, I was not at that meeting myself,
Me neither.
but if we have at least 3 people here, I guess we can approve it. Does anybody want to make a motion on that?
So move.
Is there a motion to approve the February 4th minutes? Is there a second?
I'll second, Judy.
I think,
I think
did you second, Judy?
Yep.
Okay, Judy seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 2. Is there a third aye?
I don't think anybody can.
I don't think we have.
Chris, are you abstaining?
I have to abstain.
Yeah, me too, because I
And I
wasn't
have to
there.
abstain and Tammy has to abstain.
So
So,
we
I
don't
mean,
have enough.
that's less than the majority of the people present, so I guess we have to postpone that to the next meeting. And is there any planning commission business? Okay, well then I guess we are adjourned. Short meeting.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What,